Welcome to IceLedger, the first accounting system for new startup companies. Today's topic is data backup and restore. You can backup and restore data on either the server or a workstation connected to the IceLedger server. First thing we're going to do is confirm the system settings are correct. Under Settings, click on Configurations and check the Server Shared Directory. This is the folder on the server that is shared with all the workstations on the network. Here I have a remote connection to my IceLedger server. On the server, the temp folder on drive D is shared with the network. So, on our workstation, we need to enter the name of this shared folder. In the case of a single user, standalone system, or if you're doing a backup on the server itself, then this can be any folder name that exists on the computer system. Just below here, there is another setting that you may want to consider using to safeguard your data backups. If you so wish, you can define a data backup code or a password for your backup data and a reminder in case you forget what password you used. For this example, I'm going to use my password as the password and my special password for demo videos as the hint. If you do use a password, then you will be asked for this password when you try to restore the data. Under the Auto page setting, you can define the backup file name template. If you're really not that bothered, you can quite safely ignore this and leave it as it is. This setting defines how the backup file name should be created. Whatever the name the system creates, you can still change it at the time of the backup. With the current default settings, the name will be created based on the short company name, a dash, today's date in reverse, that is a 4-digit year, month, day, another dash, and timers, hours, and minutes. There's a number of these options that are enclosed in square brackets that are available to allow you to create file names based on system details. For more information, check out the Help section. Next, we go to the Workstation Settings and check the Database Server Shared folder. This is the path to the Server Shared folder from the workstation. In my setup here, it is mapped to the temp folder on drive X. With the correct settings in place, we save the changes. We can now proceed with backing up the data. Go to Utilities menu and Backup Data. As you can see, the system has automatically assigned a file name for our backup in the same drive and folder that was used in the last backup on this computer. You can select a different location, such as another network folder or a USB drive, and change the file name if you so wish. You can also enter a short description for your backup. The database server local folder and the path to the server shared folder are also shown. The server shared folder may be changed here. We are now ready to click the backup button on the top toolbar to start the backup process. You will notice a message in red. Whilst the backup screen is open, the login is disabled to prevent other users from logging in. Although not critical, it is good practice to make sure all users on the network have logged out of the system before starting the backup process. You can check who else is logged into the system using the Users button. The displayed list of users is automatically refreshed every 10 seconds so that you can monitor the state of play as the users log out of the system. The backup is a two-step process. In stage 1, the system takes a snapshot of the company data. Once the snapshot has been completed, the message disappears, indicating other users are now allowed to log in on other workstations. During the second stage, the data snapshot and other system files are compressed into a single backup file with the process displayed in the status bar at the bottom. The system keeps a log of the last 10 backups for each workstation that the backup has been carried out on. This concludes the data backup process. Right. Let us now look at how to restore data from a previous backup. From the Utilities menu, select Restore Data. This option is only available if you have admin privileges. Before restoring data, make sure you have a backup of your current data, as data cannot be reversed. The restore process is again straightforward as long as the database server local folder and the path to the server shared folder are both correct. If you're performing data restore on the IceLedger server, then you can set both to any of the same folder names that exist. Either enter the full path name of the backup file or locate it using the File Browser button on the right. If you have selected a valid backup file, then the system will display the IceLedger program version that was used to create the backup. Both the short and the full name of the company that the backup was created from, with the backup of the date and time, are shown above the selected file name. You'll notice a number of check options below the file name become available. To restore the company data, you have to select the Restore Data check option, at which point the Restore button at the top toolbar is enabled. The other check option allows additional system files to be restored. These additional files may be restored from their original location to a different folder. If one or more of these options is selected, a further option to select a different folder becomes available. If this option is ticked, then you can select a folder where these additional files will be restored. This is useful if you only want to restore some of the files. To restore the company data, you do not need to restore any of these additional files. Please note that the restored files overwrite existing files without any prompting or warning. To start the restore process, click on the Restore button on the top toolbar. When you do, you'll get a warning that this will delete all data and replace it with data from the backup. You can choose to continue or to abort. If the selected file was protected with a password, you will be prompted for the password before the data restore can continue. The password protection only applies to the company data and not to the additional files that do not contain any company sensitive data. So, even if you forget or you don't know the password, you can still restore these additional files. If you have multiple companies under IceLedger and had selected a backup from a different company, then you will receive a further warning telling you that the data is from a different company and asking if you want to continue. If you choose to restore the company data, then on completion you will be logged out of the system and will need to log back in. This concludes our session on data backup and restore. Thank you for watching IceLedger, the first accounting system for new startup companies.